Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's PDF44 coming at you with another video. So, I've been thinking about something that I think makes a lot of sense, even though I still have a lot of homework to do on the players. But just looking at the types of players that these two are, I just think that there's a chance that this probably should be the way to go. Okay, so basically, Evan Mobley, 7-footer, shot blocker, fantastic feet, extraordinary playmaking ability as somebody who can play pretty much probably 4 positions because of his skill set, even though he's like huge. Um, this is a guy who I don't think I've seen too many players move his feet defensively the way that he does, being able to switch stances and things of that nature, as you've probably heard me mention in regards to them. He's just a very uniquely swift-footed, long player, extremely long player. We're talking about somebody like Anthony Davis type of length, even taller than AD, to be honest with you. He's got potential to be a guy who can win a defensive player of the year type of body type. You know, if he puts his all into the defensive end, he can be the defensive player of the year because of what he'll be able to do with his length and his abilities, his skill set. It's going to translate extraordinarily, in my opinion. Just like AD, he's gonna be like AD defensively, honestly, like Rudy Gobert, but he could be better than Rudy because he's faster, honestly. So this is the type of player I see him being. Okay, and that's just defensively. Offensively, he's got a lot of great things, including fast feet and an ability to dribble the ball extraordinarily for his size. Like, this is a unicorn to the core. Again, I'm not really familiar as much with how he shoots and things of that nature, but I'd imagine he's a competent shooter. For him to be drafted this high in this draft, he would have to be able to stretch the floor in this era, so I'd imagine he could shoot pretty well. But I still have more homework to do. But the most important thing is his length and his speed. That is can't miss. Period. It's just can't miss. Now I look at Green. Green is a phenomenally gifted slasher who fits the DNA of what Houston already has in Porter. Porter practically look like brothers, and they play similarly, and they're both interchangeable. You can play them in different positions. Simply two of the best young, wiggly type of cross you up, hang time, mid-air type talents. I mean, you talk about just loving the marketability of these young guys. This is something that Houston probably can see as a draw to bring you in to sit down and actually watch games with for their team, and he can help them win because he's a phenomenal scorer and has defensive ability. And like I said, just a phenomenal athlete. One of the more, as I like to say, wiggly players in the league. Cross you up, like he's gonna be one of those gifted swingmen in that way. Got a lot of Kobe in him in midair, Michael Jordan in him, pump fakes and stuff like that. And he's super gifted. So don't get it twisted. I see his value. So if I'm Houston, I'm saying I already have Christian Wood and Kelly Olynyk, who's coming off a career year. I have, like I said, Porter's already in place. You got several other swingmen as well on the team already. Do I take do I take Green and add him to the system as another one of those young players that can run, with this team, and we continue to keep everybody in place in their, rightful, position and just go forward that way? Or do I bring in this big who will probably not start the first year because he's not strong enough just yet to be who it is you want him to be, guarding some of these centers that he's going to have to bang with? You could put him at injury risk, and you'll have another like Jaren Jackson type of situation, so you don't want to throw Mobley out there too soon. But would it be better for them to draft Mobley because of his unique body type and skill set? Long term, does he give you a better chance of winning a championship if you go with him? And the answer is yes. That's what I've come here to say. Took 5 minutes to get there, but yes, I think the Rockets should take Mobley, dude. sometimes when players have a certain skill set and you have a certain culture, just like the Lakers did with Lonzo Ball, it's almost like you just want to bring them in because it just fits what you're doing. And you already have everything you need. It's like why would the Rockets draft Michael Jordan when they have a need at center for Akeem Olajuwon, but already have Clyde Drexler at the shooting guard position? It's like it's no need for them to do that. You know what I mean? Am I tripping? Yes, I am. I think I'm talking about Portland. That's Portland. Yeah, my bad. Not Akeem Olajuwon. We're talking about Sam Bowie. But you can understand what I'm trying to say. If you already have a player at the center position and you try to bring in a guy who's already at the center position, in this case with the Rockets, maybe it would just be best to bring in a shooting guard that fits since the shooting guard's sitting there. But what I'm saying to you is, no, you take the player that's best, period. You don't draft for position. You don't draft for culture. Not that high. Not when you're in the 1, 2, 3 range. That's a mistake. The Lakers made that mistake. We've seen several other teams. You've seen Philadelphia kind of make that mistake with Fultz trying to go after him instead of going after Tatum in that same draft. You just got to understand, when you have a player who has unique body types, like the Giannis's and the Shaqs and people like that, you need to consider how much value they're going to have long term. It's not just about taking a guy who fits what it is that you do. Because if you take what it is that's working for you right now and then the guy that's on your team gets hurt or you end up losing a guy in free agency, suddenly the dynamic of your team changes dramatically. But the question I have for you is, how much easier is it going to be for you to build around a guy that's 7 feet tall with long arms and fast feet, or a shooting guard or small forward combination guy who's going to do the stuff that shooting guards do? He's going to be fantastic at it, but he's just an athletic swingman. I mean, you may find somebody who may be a little less athletic than him, maybe a little more athletic than him, Jaylen Brown, You love these guys, right? They're amazing players, but you're not going to confuse the value of a Jaylen Brown versus an Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid, or you're not going to confuse Chris Paul and Dame Lillard with these players as well. You still value them for what they are, and you give them $170 million, $200 million, depending on the situation. You think they can help you win a championship. You want them on your team to win a championship. But you're not confused about who's going to ultimately get you that championship. It's the guy with the long arms and extraordinary body, and the guy that can just simply do things physically that other human beings can't do. And that's the case with this Evan Mobley pick. In my opinion, I wouldn't be mad at the Detroit Pistons for taking Evan Mobley for that same reason. But I understand how complete of a player Cade Cunningham is. And he's a big body too, so you can justify it because he has some extraordinary gifts with his size and his ability. He's a can't-miss superstar talent. It wouldn't surprise anybody if he made an all-star team within the next 2 years. That's how great Cade is. So you kind of don't bring him into this conversation, but you can totally see where long-term, let's say Cade starts having some type of knee issues or something like that, then you look over at Evan Mobley. This dude is going to be blocking shots from here to heaven. And the team he's on, if they build properly, they're going to be in the playoffs, being dominant, hurting people, being nightmares to try to guard. And you think about this. Christian Wood, already a fantastic young player. He can play some defense. But can you imagine how much better he would be with a tree standing behind him who can also do the same things that he does with fast feet? Do you know how great their fast break is going to be with 2 players who can catch lobs like that? And we're not even talking about the other players that they have that can leap. Now, granted, Green is just as pretty in the fast break. Don't get it twisted. What he can add to the fast break may even be more extraordinary with his athleticism and his skill set. So don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is that length. When you start dealing with the Lakers, when you start dealing with the Suns, and you got Ayton down there, you got Towns down there, you got to deal with Joel Embiid. Who knows if he's going to stay in the Eastern Conference for much longer. I like Kelly Olynyk, but what are you going to do against them dudes? You going to put Christian Wood on them dudes? Or are you going to need somebody like Evan Mobley to guard them? Something to think about. I'd say the same thing to Detroit, honestly. As much as I like Cade Cunningham, I would say the same thing to Detroit. You're going to have to find somebody to deal with these centers. Do you have that in place? Can you get that in this draft? This is one of the greatest drafts we've seen. I can honestly say that. My opinion about this draft, it's one of the most complete and talented drafts I've ever seen. Truly. Just through studying maybe about 15 players, just 15 players, the top 15 players, I've looked at most of them. This draft is bringing in intangibles. It's not a whole lot of shooting, but you're going to find defense in this draft. You're going to find athleticism. You're going to find guys that are interested in passing the ball. You're going to find guys that are great at slashing. All the intangible things that make a basketball game work. This draft has guys that do that. No one-trick ponies. You're not going to find too many of those. Lots of size, good bodies, and the shooters that are in this draft are legit shooters, real ones, snipers. So this is a hell of a draft. But I honestly think that at the top of it, you have a very difficult decision to make. And the more I think about it, the higher Evan Mobley's value ascends. Because at the end of the day, when he stands straight up and puts his hands straight up, no one's shooting over that. No one is shooting over that. And when he moves side to side and he tracks you, you're gonna lose the ball. Chances are he's gonna poke it away. He's gonna get the stop. He's gonna force you into a very difficult shot. He's gonna turn into a complete nightmare. And he's not a stiff, not by any stretch of the imagination. So, for me, I got him as a close second. You know, I will tell you, it's between him and Cade Cunningham. I'm still going to take Cade because I know he's the quintessential Luka Doncic, LeBron James type player. You kind of need one of those guys just ultimately. But I also think you need an Anthony Davis. I also think you need a Rudy Gobert and a Joel Embiid. And I think Evan Mobley may be one of those guys. He may actually be one of those guys. So, that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.